Hello everybody, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the top 5 tools that you need to work on your car. And as you can see in front of us, we got some pretty basic tools. And if you already work on cars, you're going to need these tools. And for that matter, you probably already own them. So that's why we're not going to be talking about these in depth today. But just to list them very quickly, at the top, we've got some cleaners and lubricants, torque wrenches, ratchets, wrenches, sockets, extensions, screwdrivers, jack stands, floor jack, wire cutter, and a variety of pliers. More specifically today, I want to talk about my top 5 tools for the experienced mechanic that wants to expand their arsenal of tools. So I've been working on cars for about 15 years now, and if you follow the channel, you know what car this is. This is my 2002 Acura TL Type S with 354,000 miles on it, and she's still running strong. And over the years, I've replaced just about everything on this car, and in doing so, I've also acquired quite the variety of tools. And that's what I wanted to list today, are my top 5 tools for the experienced mechanic. And the criteria that the tools need to meet are both: one, that needs to be both a unique tool that most people don't own. It needs to be a very helpful tool that you're going to find coming in handy a lot. And for that matter, it needs to also be a tool that you find yourself using all the time. These tools aren't going to be listed in any particular order, so I don't recommend skipping to the end because the last tool isn't going to be the best tool. Make sure you watch the whole video so you can see all 5 of my top 5 recommendations. So with that said, let's get started. So the first tools we're going to be talking about are an impact wrench, and more uniquely, an electric ratchet. Now, a lot of people might already own an impact wrench, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that do not, and for good reason. A setup like this, when you first buy it, can cost easily over $100 because you're going to need to buy the tool, the batteries, and the charger. But it's definitely a tool that everybody needs to have in their tool arsenal because it certainly makes removing those stubborn bolts and nuts significantly easier and significantly faster. Now for the more unique electric tool, this is a cordless electric ratchet. You just squeeze the handle and it can remove nuts and bolts in seconds. And what makes this tool more unique is that it has the ability to act like a ratchet where you can break the bolt loose by hand and then you can use the electric feature to remove it the rest of the way. More specifically, why I like this tool is, unlike our big impact over there, the size of the head is now only about 1 inch. And that's going to allow you to squeeze this into pretty much any area that big impact can't. And if you come across a big bolt that can't be broken loose by this tool, you can just take your standard ratchet, break it loose, and then go back to your electric ratchet here and take it off the rest of the way. Because we all know we've been in that situation where you can only turn your ratchet like that far, 1/16 of an inch at a time, taking you a solid 2 minutes to take out and install a single bolt. Whereas this thing can literally remove and install it in 2 seconds. Now, while this skinny tool will certainly allow you access to many tight spaces, you're not going to be able to get to all of them. Some bolts are tucked away really tight or at a weird angle, and for that matter, I might recommend getting a universal joint, just like this one. A little bonus tool for you all, and you can see these can bend at any angle and will furthermore allow you easy access to any bolt you come across. Here's a quick demonstration of the electric ratchet removing and installing the manifold cover. The next must-have tool on our list is this universal oil filter removal tool. And if you've ever removed an oil filter by hand, you know how insanely difficult they can be to remove. Even back in the day, I used to use a big old pipe wrench to try and remove them, and even that was really difficult. or at least it took a really long time anyways. And then one day I came across this awesome tool, and this has been a game changer. This can remove any oil filter in a matter of seconds. They're also expandable by design, allowing them to fit just about any oil filter. This one has a range of 2.5 to 3.25 inches. So make sure you check the diameter of your oil filter and buy the right size tool. These do come in a couple different sizes, but this 2.5 to 3.25 one should do the job for most people. And I don't recommend getting the fixed size oil filter removal tools because, believe it or not, they actually don't work nearly as good. Whereas this one, again, is expandable, can fit multiple filters, and they also have these really aggressive teeth engraved into them, allowing them to get a solid grip on any oil filter, again, removing it super easily in a matter of seconds. You flip it over and you'll see there's a 3/8" drive on the back, and you can either put your ratchet on directly, or for the matter, if your oil filter is a little more tucked away, you can also put your extension on there too. So here's a couple clips of this bad boy in action. This is the Motivex Universal Oil Filter Removal Tool. So we'll just pop it on there. Link in the description. As well as I got a separate review video on my channel if you want to check that out. Makes easy work of removing any oil filter. This next item isn't necessarily a must-have, but it certainly does make your life a lot easier. And so the next topic we're going to be talking about is lighting. If you're going to be working on a car, you got to be able to see what you're doing, right? So most people already own a flashlight or maybe a shop light like this one. This is also definitely a must-have if you're going to work on cars. But the problem with these is they don't necessarily light up exactly what you're working on the best. If you're going to be working on a car, maybe you could try holding it with one hand, but now you only got one hand to work on your car. They got these nice magnets on the back. You can try attaching it to your hood, if you can. There we go, it's attached. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be pointing at where you're working. I can't get it to point at the back with the magnets. Maybe you could try using the hook. That's pretty nice too. Hang it on the hood and you can angle it wherever you want to work. And again, you know, can't necessarily see deep down in the engine bay or anything like that. But what if I told you that there's an easier solution to lighting? May I introduce you to the hood light? It's exactly what it sounds like. It is a light that spans all the way across your engine bay to the hood. It's got these nice rubber coated hooks so it doesn't damage your hood. They have spring tension and expand so they can fit a variety of sized hoods. The light bar spans all the way across the engine bay, and that results in hardly any shadows. And you can turn it if you want to angle your light in one direction or another. If you're working towards the back of the engine bay, you could always move your light down towards the back. Vice versa, if you're working towards the front, you can move the hood light towards the top of your hood so it's in line with wherever you're working. And these hood lights come in a few different varieties. They've got batteries, they've got cords. You could use both at the same time. I like the corded version because if you're like me, you often spend many hours working on your car, and batteries can only last so many hours sometimes. Battery technology has certainly gotten a lot better, but the last thing you need is a dead battery when you're working on your car. So personally, I went for the corded only version, and this is a really thick cord, definitely shop rated. It's probably a solid 20 feet long. Look at all my oil. However, a battery would be a good choice if, say, you're working out in the field, if you do roadside assistance, you're working in your driveway, a junkyard or something like that. Otherwise, if you're just in your shop, your garage, in your driveway, again, this cord is plenty long for most people. Otherwise, you know, you can always just use an extension cord. So this is, again, the hood light, link in the description. The next absolute must-have tool isn't necessarily a tool, but more so a diagnostic piece of equipment. It is the OBD2 scanner. I can't tell you how many people I've seen on Facebook groups, forum pages, my own YouTube comment section where someone says, oh, my car's making this noise. It's got this problem. All these lights on my dash are lit up. What's wrong with my car? I don't know. You know how many problems can cause a check engine light? How many things can make a squeaky noise or a rattle or whatever in your engine bay or a misfire? A lot. Hundreds. But what if I told you there's a tool that can significantly narrow down the list of problems? Introducing the OBD2 scanner. And these things are pretty cheap. You can get a basic one for about 20, 30 bucks. And for a vast majority of people, that's all you're going to need, including me. This has gotten my car to 355,000 miles now and still running. And this has many, many uses. First of all, let me show you how to use it. First, you'll take the end of the cable and you'll plug it into your OBD2 port. Mine's hidden way back in here. You'll see it turn on. Wait for the screen to load. And now we got to turn the ignition to our car on. Just put your key in and just turn the power on. You don't have to start your car. And then we can just push any button to continue. Just takes a moment to load up. So the first major function of an OBD2 scanner is to read your check engine code. And again, a check engine light code is basically going to tell you what's wrong with your car. And the first is a stored code. And that means that your car's problem has met the threshold to trigger a check engine light. And that will result in a stored code that will not clear until you take a scanner like this and clear the code. There's also pending codes, and that is where a problem may have occurred, but it wasn't persistent enough to trigger a permanent check engine light code. So we're going to check both anyways. Stored codes, I don't have any. We can also check the pending codes. None there either. But if you did have a code, it would say something like P0740. And then you could take that code, look it up online, and it'll tell you what's wrong with your car. The next major function would be to erase the codes. So after you've fixed the problem and you want to see if it actually worked, you can erase the code so the check engine light goes away, and then you can start driving your car again, see if that code comes back. Another cool hidden function is to see if someone's trying to scam you, if someone's trying to hide a problem and hide a check engine light from you, you can actually go to the I am readiness menu. And if someone reset the check engine light, you're going to see that these would say INC, which means incomplete. So as you drive your car, all these self-detecting systems will run to see if there's any problems and if they're running okay. And eventually they should all say okay or NA. And so if any of these say INC, that means you should run away from that car. Don't buy it. They just reset the battery or reset the check engine light, and they're trying to hide something from you. So that's a pretty cool feature. And then there's also the live data. And this can tell you quite a bit of information as well. Let's just load it up here. You can see how your fuel system's working. You can see the temperatures of varying systems. Let's keep going down. Here's the map sensor. If there's a problem with your map sensor, it should be within a certain range. So you can check that there. It tells you the RPMs. Again, more temperatures. What's another one? Throttle position sensor. If there's something wrong with your throttle body and the throttle position sensor, you can check that right there. And it's just a really handy tool. I don't know what all these means, but if you had a manual, it would tell you what they all mean. So again, really handy to have. And if you get a more expensive, complex one, it has even more features and more data that you can access, including things like the ABS system, the airbags, etc., etc. Again, many uses for this tool. A must-have, only costs 20, 30 bucks. Please, people, get one. You will be glad you did. Introducing our fifth, and in my opinion, most advanced must-have tool to make your life easier. And this is going to be an especially useful tool for people living up in the Rust Belt. I introduce to you a thread chaser kit. Very similar to a tap and die set, except the main difference is tap and die sets are made to create new threads. A thread chaser kit is made to restore existing threads. You wouldn't want to use a tap and die set on existing threads because it could result in removing too much material and result in loose play with the fittings, damaged threads, and potentially strip threads when you tighten down the bolt. This is made to restore existing threads, maybe with an imperfection here or there if you accidentally started cross-threading, or if they're rusty and you just can't get the fitting in easily, just run this over it really quickly. It'll be good as new. I can't tell you how many bolts and nuts I've saved, and that has saved me so much time and so much money over the years. I wish I'd gotten this tool a lot sooner. This is a Lane tool set, and it cost about 68 bucks. I'll admit I got a pretty good deal on it. It's all made in the USA, and various testing sources have come to conclude that this is one of the better ones out there that you can get. So let's give it a go, and I'll show you how to use it. So let's find our rusty bolt, and I'm going to use my hood light to light up the engine bay so I can see what I'm doing with ease. And found a cute little bolt right here holding the AC line on. Not the rustiest bolt I've ever seen, but I think that'll make a good demonstration. And now I'm going to use my electric ratchet to first break it loose and then move it the rest of the way. Again, this isn't the rustiest bolt by any means, but let's see how rough it is trying to thread it in by hand. So far, so good. Nope, it's already caught up and binding on something there. And it's caught again. I can't even thread it all the way in. You can see, oh, there we go. But yeah, it could be better. Hey, how about we use our thread chaser kit to restore these threads? So now we can take our rusty bolt or nut and we can put it in a vise. And then we're gonna take some cutting fluid. This is Tap Magic cutting fluid. This is the best stuff on the market. Highly recommend you get a bottle of this. There we go. And then we can take the corresponding tool that matches the thread size and we can just start threading it on. Again, this is a pretty good condition bolt, all things considered, so I'm able to do this by hand. I can feel it binding up and removing some of that rust. If you needed to, you could take a wrench, obviously, and you could use that to, use that to turn it. I recommend if it's a really bad bolt, you do a half a turn forward, quarter turn back. Half a turn forward, quarter turn back. And back and forth, so that way it allows all of the debris to loosen up in the tool and you're not causing any accidental damage to the bolt or your tool. So let's just run this all the way down. Oh yeah, I can feel it definitely grinding all that grit away. Look how smooth that is. And we're done. And then you can take a paper towel or an air gun, clean off your bolt. And then you could take the other corresponding tool and clean out the threads on the car itself. Once all is said and done and you clean the threads on both the bolt and the threads on the car, let's take a look at how much easier it is to thread this bolt in. So far so good, not binding up at all. Look at that. All the way in, no problem. This bolt is good as new. Or otherwise I would have had to wait a week for a bolt to arrive in the mail, or would have had to made an extra trip to the store, spending all this extra time and money, or I could just get a thread chaser kit and fix the bolt itself. A+. And there you have it, everybody. Again, this is my top 5 recommended list of tools that I think you need if you're gonna work on cars that are unique, very helpful, and are going to be a tool that you're going to find yourself using all the time once you get your hands on them. Again, I got the electric ratchet, the universal oil filter wrench, OBD2 scanner, thread chaser kit along with cutting fluid, and a hood light. So what do you guys think of my list? Did I inspire you to get any of these tools? Are there any tools you guys recommend or that you think should have made this list? Why don't you go ahead and leave a comment? I'd be interested to see what tools you recommend. Also, feel free to ask any questions, as I'm also really good at getting back to people. Lastly, why don't you go check out the description where I'm going to be posting links to all these tools down there so you can find them easier. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and take care.